And just a heads up, everyone, I'm going to record this session. So at the end, when we do questions and answers, you can feel free to turn off your camera if you'd like to. But it will be recorded, so just giving you a heads up on that. And I will also give this recording to everyone afterwards. Okay, we'll jump in and then people can join if they're still planning to show up and can kind of catch up, especially since this is a power lesson, just 20 minutes. My name's Melinda. I'm the CEO here at LessonsUp. And today we're going to talk about how to use Slack to find out about the latest job opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see our quick agenda. I love agendas because then we all know exactly what's coming. So first, why am I talking to you about this? I have worked in tech for the last 10 years at 5 different companies, and 4 out of those 5 companies all just kind of came to me through networking. I only did 1 job application, and that was very early on in my career, my 2nd job. So I very much believe that the best way to get a job is to network. And hold on a second, I'm admitting a couple more people. Probably have to change the setting for the next one. So yeah, there you have it. I believe in networking, and that's how I've gotten all of my jobs. And then we'll talk about why we would use Slack. We'll talk about Slack communities to join, and then we'll get down to the technicalities of how to find out about jobs, setting notifications, using Slack search, setting your own profile to show that you're seeking opportunities, and then networking in Slack channels dedicated to people looking for jobs. So just a moment, let's talk about why we're using Slack. Okay, I'm coming to you as someone who has gotten jobs and as a hiring manager. So if we think about the org chart, the hiring manager is probably the person who is the most eager to get someone on their team. Then you have the team members who will be directly working with you. They are also very incentivized to get someone on their team. And then the employees at the company, they're also really want to make sure the right person joins the company. Now, these people might even get a referral bonus if they bring someone in. And this person just saves a lot of time. All of them like faces better than resumes. And in fact, the majority of resumes are looked at for 3 to 5 seconds before they're rejected and moved forward. And 75% of resumes are never seen by the hiring manager who has the ultimate decision. So all of these people want to get someone in right away, and they're going to their trusted communities first. So you can use Slack to find out about it. Just a quick reminder, we're going to talk about how to set notifications, and you search, set up your own profile to show that you're looking, and then networking. First, you have to join a Slack community. So if you haven't, no problem. There's a list of 400 Slack communities across all sorts of industries. The first ones you'll see here as I scroll are very techy, but they're also related to HR, fintech, lots and lots of different Slack communities. And if you don't see what you're looking for on this list, don't worry. This was in 2017, there are hundreds and hundreds of Slack communities for all sorts of reasons. Okay, now we're going to hop over to Slack, but let me just double check that we don't have anybody else hanging out in the waiting room. Okay, yeah, we did. Alrighty. So now that you have joined a Slack community and you are looking for a job, how do you use Slack to help you find that job? We're going to look at Ladies Get Paid first. This is one of my favorite communities for networking. It's got over 40,000 people. And there are constantly people looking for jobs, talking about jobs, things like that. The first tactic we're going to talk about is setting notifications so that the minute someone mentions that they're hiring, you find out about it. To do that, you go to the top and there's a little caret that you click. And then it leads to preferences. If you're really on the job search, you want to set your preferences to notify me about all new messages. And then you want to give Slack some keywords that are interesting to you. And if you're looking for a job, those keywords are hiring, job, job application, resume, job recommendation, remote job opportunity, join my team, work with me. And there might be others, but this is just to start out. This means that the minute someone says, hey, I'm hiring, you'll get a notification from Slack that tells you about it, and then you can engage or at least look at the job opportunity and see if it's relevant for you. Okay, a couple other things. For this notification, you can choose when you get these notifications, every day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., depending on your needs, but you can go in and just set it to what you want. You can choose to get a preview of the message. I always do. I like to see the quick blurb, which usually tells me whether or not I want to read more or move on. And you can decide if you want a sound or a badge. I will tell you, these sounds can drive you nuts after a little while, but I use them anyways. I prefer to just have them. And in fact, apologies if we hear any sound notifications from Slack during this call. So those are your notifications. Once you set that up, you will be bombarded, especially if you're in multiple Slack communities, by notifications of people who are hiring. That's a lot to manage. So one thing that you can do to proactively search without being bombarded by the notifications is just go to Slack search and type in hiring. Slack has stellar search. It's one of the reasons why it's my favorite platforms. And now you can see all of the latest messages related to hiring. So we'll talk about that first. Not every single message will be relevant to you, but a lot of them will. Kind of scroll through. So hiring a hardworking, detail-oriented PR manager, hiring senior product manager, UI, UX designer. Starts to sound scary. It might look like there are only senior level jobs. Not true. Hiring part-time folks, college students, project coordinator, Shopify e-commerce manager. You get the picture. Using the Slack search is a great way to proactively see the latest conversations about people who are hiring. One other interesting thing about search is that you can also see people related to this. So a lot of people who are hiring managers will go in and let you know that they are hiring. This means they are really, really eager to find someone because they took the time to go in and update their Slack profile to let the world know. Something else you'll notice, and this is a third tactic that we'll talk about, there are people who are for hire. They're saying, hey, hire me. Awesome, you can do that too. So you're using search now to find out who's hiring, to find the people who are hiring, and then also to model your profile to let people know that you are in fact looking. So I would say take a note of this format. It's a great one. Job title, specialization, looking for opportunities, hashtag, great. So you will want to do the same thing for your profile. To do that, you click your name, and then you click your name again. Now you go in and you edit your profile, and you follow that same format that we saw before in these areas, and use hashtags and just kind of make sure that the world knows. And also make sure you have a picture. People love seeing faces. You're much more likely to get a response to your messages when you try to network if they can see a face. Okay, so quick review. We've talked about a couple of tactics, the notifications, using preferences, and then just typing those keywords into search. I showed you one using the word hiring, but you can use a lot of other keywords that we talked about when we set the notifications, and then setting up your own profile. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is that you might be in a Slack community that has a channel dedicated to hiring. And if you haven't browsed all of the channels or thought about it in this way, you might not even know about it. So in Ladies Get Paid, for example, the channel for hiring is called Jobs, Gigs, Collabs. If you're not sure, you can click on channels, browse, or you can literally type in jobs. They're not always going to be called that. If we go to the women in fintech, for example, it's called careers. So that's another keyword that you'll look for when you're just seeking out channels where people go to talk about these jobs. So that is your fifth tactic now that we have talked about. So just to quickly review, it's preferences, search, setting up your profile, and this is really bad, but I belong to so many Slack communities that sometimes it takes me a minute to remember to go in and update mine, have your picture, have your keywords, let people know you're looking for a job, and then joining the right Slack channels. So I promised you that this was a power lesson designed for you to drop in and get some high impact information right away, but also even with time for questions and answers. So now that we have kind of gone over our agenda, I would love to open it up to all of you. And just so you can quickly see the overview, we talked about why we use Slack, because all of these folks desperately want to hire someone. And then we talked about Slack communities to join. I can send you this list if you don't have it, and the major tactics to use. So I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And oh, looks like we missed someone. Okay. Yeah, okay, so now I've kind of gone over the major ways to use Slack. Are there any questions? And I know we just had someone just join us, so I will send you a recording of this and the agenda so you can see. And if we don't have any questions, that means I just answered them all, so that's great too. Let's look in the chat. Okay, no questions yet. Okay, so then for those who just joined, we'll just do a very quick review one more time. I will share my screen. If you want to use Slack to find out about job opportunities, and you absolutely do, you go into a Slack community, you click preferences, and you set up notifications so that you can find out the minute someone mentions that they are hiring. I promise you, you will be bombarded with notifications. There are a few different settings to go through. You can let Slack know when you want to find out about people who are hiring. You want to set up all of the right keywords, and I will send those to you all via email. And then you want to set your sounds or badges, and you can choose to even get those notifications via email if you prefer. So that's one way. And then let's go to a new community that we haven't done. Let's try Mind the Product so you guys kind of get an idea of what's out there. We'll try our keyword search again, hiring, 92 messages. This one is of course for Mind the Product, so you're probably going to see a lot of roles related directly to product, but not always. You can see growth marketing here. Depending on the Slack community, you'll just find out about different job opportunities, most likely related to the industry that you're networking in. And there usually is a Slack community for your industry. One strange little secret that I'll share with you, there is a community called People Geeks. And these are all of the recruiters, anyone who works in HR. So they are constantly trying to find people to fill jobs. They really try to keep this community for people who work in HR and people related fields. But it is an interesting one to join. I'm in it because I've been a hiring manager, now at my 6th company. So I kind of need to keep tabs on HR policies and things. But it's a great one to find out about all of the latest job opportunities because they're constantly posting. So there you have it. We use our preferences to set our notifications, and then we use search. And then we also update our own profile to let people know that we are looking for a job. And the best way to model your profile to do that is to just go hiring. And oops, I am browsing a specific channel. Apologies. Let me go back to ladies get paid. There we go. There we go. Hiring. And I'm still looking in one channel. What do I do? All channels. Okay, hiring, and then people. And I really like the format that this user has used to let people know that she is looking for a job. So I recommend copying that, pasting it into your profile, but of course, changing it so that it looks like yours. Now we just did the very quick crash course of the quick crash course that we already did. And now I will stop talking in case there really are questions. So far. What's the Slack again for HR? Okay, what's the best way to get the word out about an open role on your team via Slack? Yeah, so you definitely want to find the channel for careers and post about it there. Let me share my screen again. Most Slack communities will have channels dedicated to that. In Ladies Get Paid, it's called Jobs, Gigs, Collabs. Every community might be a little bit different. Women in FinTech, it's called Careers. So you would just want to browse the channels or specifically type in things like career or job. And then if you are a hiring manager, I recommend not just posting that, hey, job opportunity, but hey, come talk to me if you're passionate about this. A lot of people get nervous that they might not be qualified for a job, but if they're passionate about the thing, then they probably are qualified. And if you use words that are more relatable to people rather than process, you're much more likely to get people reaching out to you. And that goes for all of you who are looking for jobs. It's much better to say, wow, I saw your post and I saw you guys worked on XYZ. This is awesome. I'd love to chat about it. Versus, hey, I'm looking for a job and I have XYZ experience. Might help, but the bigger way is to share the passion. In fact, we'll be doing some more workshops on how to actually conduct these chats to make them, well, make it more possible for you to get that foot in the door. And then once you get your foot in the door to talk to someone, how you can actually talk to them in a way that they will want to talk to you about job opportunities. But the quick note is that it always comes down to you're passionate about what they're doing. And so it's the same thing when you're hiring for a role. I will go back and check again to see if there were any new questions that came in. Oh, and also guys, feel free to go off mute and just ask your questions. Happy to just chit chat, though this is being recorded so that all of you will have access to the recording afterwards. Okay, health tech. Yeah, and so as I'm kind of seeing like industries that you're in, it's making me think, oh, made the final rounds of Amazon, but no offer yet. Okay. Yeah, and if you did make the final rounds of Amazon, and I know somebody else here was interviewing recently with Apple and made it through 3 interview rounds, sometimes these companies just fall off and they start talking to you, but if you got that far, that's awesome, and there are probably a ton of other companies who will talk to you, and one tactic that you can use as you search is to let people know, yeah, I've been in talks with Amazon and then XYZ, and then you'll immediately be more interesting to people just by kind of throwing out the other big companies that you've been talking to. Great, I love the networking that I'm seeing in here. Yeah, and we're getting close to time. Again, I really designed these to be kind of drop in for 20 minutes. I want everyone to get high impact skills very easily. I transitioned into tech 10 years ago directly from teaching. I had 0 experience, but I managed a team of designers and engineers to build interactive books with clients like Disney and Fisher-Price. And the way I was able to do that was because I had sessions like this, but they were just on the fly in the office and with friends. And I'm trying to kind of create a world where skill sharing is accessible. We just pair experts with people who are probably really, really good at what they do, but aren't experts in a particular skill. And so, yeah, feel free to shout out, ask your questions. And yeah, the idea here again is just super simple, humans chit-chatting, networking, helping each other, kind of the way that I've been helped throughout my career by just shoulder tapping and getting quick crash courses in how to do things in tech. Let's see if there are any other questions. What's the best, oh yeah, we talked about that one. Skill sharing on failures, redirections. Can you talk to me more about, so there are a lot of ways to look at failure, and a lot of ways to learn from failure, and a lot of ways to use failure to leverage you moving forward. But if you could tell me a little bit more about what you're thinking, yes, I would love to talk about that. And redirections also made me think that you're talking about possibly pivoting in your career. And I have a lot of thoughts about that too. So feel free to follow up with me afterwards if you want to talk more about that. Okay, well, I'll leave it open for 1 more minute in case people have more questions that they want to ask. It looks like not. And we got everybody here. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, I promised you a 20-minute power session. I want you all to be able to get back to your job searches or whatever interesting things you're doing in life. Thanks so much for joining. I will follow up with you for notes. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll follow up with you notes and recording, and feel free to reach out to me anytime. Take care, everyone.